Hello, friend. Mormo here. Yeah, I like your outfit. What were some of your favorite Florida local bands?
Yeah, I haven't even thought about it in a while. I liked this band that we had down there called Lost My Love. They were kind of like a weird fusion of a bunch of different genres, but they were really theatrical and they dressed up for their shows. And I'm definitely really attracted to that sort of thing. So they were probably my favorite down there at the time.
Yeah, I really like that too, when a band will wear a costume and put up banners and brand their band. I really like that.
Yeah, they did all kinds of weird stuff too. Like he would pass umbrellas out to the audience and come around with this cauldron he had and throw stuff on people. So it was definitely fun. Man, I liked this band I Am the Devil down there.
Yeah.
They were a weird noise band, grindcore and stuff. But they were also just strange and fun and interesting. And I used to hang out with those guys. They were a lot of fun.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yeah. When I was young, like when I was in high school and stuff, I liked big music fests and to go to these huge and to see big bands I had heard on the radio and stuff. But then when I turned 21, I really found that I liked the intimacy of the small show and the local band and just bar shows where you could shake hands with the band and have a beer with them after the show or whatever.
Sure. Yeah, my first job was actually booking shows at a club because from a really young age, 15 years old, I was going to local shows. So I kind of knew everybody who was in the scene at that time. So that was my first job that I was doing before I started tattooing, was booking bands for this club. And it was super fun to just choose who I would like to see for a concert and giving my friends some extra shows and stuff. And the venue was pretty cool. It was a good time, man. That was when I was in high school particularly was a really good time for the local scene in South Florida.
Did you book bands with MySpace?
I mostly had everybody's number, so I would just call them up. But yeah, I definitely would check out bands from MySpace. If it was a band I didn't know and I wanted to see what their music was like or whatever, I would check them out through MySpace for sure.
Yeah, I found that so convenient because I also promoted shows and booked shows for this little venue called the Rhythm Lounge in San Diego. It was close to where SeaWorld was. And
Nice.
that's where because you could search bands by zip code. And so it was so easy for me to find all kinds of bands to book and stuff. And then Facebook took over and it was a lot harder to find people, I found.
Yeah, it's not as much designed for bands. It was, I feel the music, you could put it right on your page in MySpace. It was really easy to access their videos or whatever through MySpace. In Facebook, it's not really like that. You would have to post external links, I think, to post music and stuff.
Yeah, I remember I really loved that on MySpace where it was like having your own page and then you could have a song play when people came to your page. And I would I would put songs from local bands that I liked, the Gizzards and Your Mom and the Yucks and stuff like that.
Nice.
Back in the day, back when I was promoting shows. And so did you also collect money at the door or did you have a doorman do that?
No, they had a doorman to do that. Sometimes I worked the back door where the bands were actually loading in equipment and stuff, so that if they needed any help with anything, I was more working directly with the musicians.
Oh, cool. Right on. What kind of covers were you charging?
It was cheap. The place I worked at was called Zine, and it was basically the owner of this building had this big empty warehouse, and he didn't know what to do with it. And he got the idea to make it a venue because, like I said, it was really bountiful with creativity and music in that area at the time. But he was trying to cater more towards like high schoolers and young kids because that's who was really going to shows around there. So it was like no alcohol type vibe. But yeah, like it was cheap to get in, $5-10 a head, depending on who was playing. A lot of the bands were, I knew them personally, so I would swing it with them for like less fee for them to play type thing. I would get like a hookup, so that we could charge for people at the door.
That's awesome. I just found out that one of the clubs I used to go to in Boise, Idaho, called the Shredder, I guess the city forced them to become 21 and up. Just not recently got their all ages license back. And I know that's really important to a lot of people and a lot of bands too, is making sure that that kids get in. And I know like JFA, they won't even play alcoholic shows anymore. They strictly do all ages now so that the kids can get in. And I don't know, I've never been like it's like all about the kids type of guy, but I think there is good lessons they can learn from punk rock and the music community as far as like DIY principles and the social aspect of it, and where kids can feel that they like fit in and have a support system or something, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I was into the metal scene and the punk scene, and I always found the punk kids like way more accepting. A lot of the metal kids at that time, particularly, like I was a straight edge kid, so particularly a lot of the straight edge kids were kind of like rude. But in the punk scene, it's like the type of environment where like, yeah, you're like dancing together and stuff, but if someone falls, they pick you back up, you know? It's like a family, and a lot of those people really know and care about each other in the scene, and if there's a camaraderie that you don't see in a lot of music scenes.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's something that always attracted me to punk, was the community. And like I say, it was like a safety net for me where I could always have a friend and stuff, and people would always have my back and stuff. Did you ever get Nazis in your club?
You know, like, you didn't really see a lot of that because it's really diverse in South Florida. Like, yeah, you would see one of those type of people occasionally, but they would get run off by the punk kids and stuff. And there's a lot of like colorblind skinheads and stuff in South Florida, and they're all about like being inclusive to everybody and stuff, and they'll beat the shit out of the like skinhead kids that would try to come through. So it's not terribly common for somebody to be really out with that type of opinion, because it's kind of dangerous to you know, represent that in those type of clubs back home in South Florida.
Yeah, that's good. And I myself, I've had all different experiences. I didn't get a Nazi crowd at Rhythm Lounge in San Diego, where I was booking shows, but I did go to a show from a band I really respected, who were like a old school band from the 80s and had been around forever. But I went to one of their shows, and they had Nazi security at the show, and I was supposed to be recording the show on video, but I felt uncomfortable in the club, and you know, when you're recording a show with the camera, like half of your defense is holding the camera, and so like with too many skinheads in the room, or too many Nazis or whatever, like I didn't feel like I could protect the camera and protect myself at the same time. So I only ended up recording a few songs by the band, and then putting my camera away. But I know that's just a constant problem. I'm in some of the punk groups on Facebook, and it's just like Nazis versus punks pretty much daily around there. I know. I don't even know how that subject came up, but like It was in San Diego. There was an issue, and on the internet there's an issue. In Boise is the other place that I was pretty involved with the punk rock community, but I didn't see that there. Well, I did see it a little bit actually, but anyway, so you and the band would split the door then at your club?
I think the club and the band would have an arrangement. I didn't really deal so much with like the financial side of stuff because I was really young when I was working at this place. So they mostly dealt with that part with the owners. But I would imagine, yeah, the band gets a cut and the place gets a cut.
Yeah, when I worked at the Rhythm Lounge, it was I got paid $40 a night, and so I worked the door. I collected all the money. And then I would split the money between the bands after my $40 cut. That's how that worked. And then I also got free beers while I was working. So
nice. Yeah, I was like I had an office and stuff at this place, and I would be there throughout the week working. So they like paid me on like a salary type basis. So it was like separate from the whatever that they made from the show. I'm sure they made out like bandits, though, because I was really young and I was just excited to have that job.
Yeah, that's an awesome first job. I mean, I know I really enjoyed it. And let's see. So I'm trying to think of some big name bands from Florida. I know Marilyn Manson came from Florida. Was there like a gothic industrial community in your area?
There is still to this day for sure like a gothic industrial community. South Florida is really heavy with like the fetish party scene and stuff, and that's where you'll mostly see like the goth industrial kids coming out. Personally, I don't know too many of the bands that are in that scene. I do know like a lot of the go-go dancers and stuff who work at the clubs, because I've had some friends who work at the clubs that throw those parties and stuff. But
nice.
Yeah, those kids are still full force today.
That's awesome. Yeah, that reminds me of one of my witch girlfriends. Her name's Dominique, and she's from Florida, and she was telling me about how they had epic like fetish parties and stuff like that there. I know in San Diego, I was actually a goth before I was a punk. When I turned 21, I found the goth community and would go. Goth night was typically at gay bars, and so I'd go to gay bars regularly throughout the week. I became like a lifestyle goth rather than a weekend warrior or whatever, and I'd go to different goth clubs and stuff throughout the week and wear makeup, and it was never really about sex for me back then. I was more of a drug addict, and it was just two scenes that co-inhabited the same spaces. Have you ever made merch for a band?
Yeah, I love to make things. I've always made stuff, but that band lost my love. I really liked those guys. And I've sold merch for them a couple times. So I remember actually making an outfit that was very similar to their outfit. And this is when I was in high school, and I was actually doing like a screen printing class. So I like screen printed their logos on some shirts. Like my dad to this day still has some of those shirts that I made in high school, like screen printing my friends' bands and stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, I made shirts for Mormo Zine back in the day. I've never gotten to learn screen printing, but I was cutting stencils, and
Nice.
cutting stencils came really easily to me because it was like carving pumpkins, which is something I loved doing when I was a kid. And so me and my friends would carve a stencil and then just blast spray paint on a cheap t-shirt. That was one of the ways me and my friends made merch back in the day.
It's just fun to make it sometimes that way, and you get a little like less of a clean look than you do with the stencil on a screen printer. So it just like looks homemade, which is sometimes better.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's always better, and that's been a struggle my whole career. Is how you teach people the value of a original work of art or a handmade item compared to a mass-produced item, and that's always been something I've struggled with, and that's something I've always done is fan art for bands. I like making music videos and concert reviews, and I made buttons like these. Like here's one I made right here for a band called Prawley that was in Fort Collins, Colorado when I lived there, and I'd record shows. This was before everybody had a camera on their phone, so I'd bring a video camcorder to the show and record the show, and then I'd bring the chords with me so that I'd get invited to the after party, and then at the after party I'd hook my camera up to the TV so the band and everybody could rewatch the show and critique it and everything. That was one of the ways that I helped the scene, because I felt, and obviously you felt too, that like live music and the culture and everything is so important, that I wanted to be something more than just a spectator. I wanted to be like part of creating the culture, or like not creating it, but like being an active part of it, you know?
Yeah, that was like a huge part of my life. Well into my 20s was like doing street team work. I was in a few bands, playing music, not great, but still enjoying it. It was massively important to me, and helping my friends who were in bands in particular in any way that I could. I would go to great lengths. You know, I would pass out thousands of flyers. I worked at a Hot Topic back in the day, which obviously like, you meet a lot of people at. It was important, man, and I wish that there was more scenes that were alive today, because around here it's just absolutely dead.
Or where you're at now, the scene is a lot different, were you saying?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're like near where the site of Woodstock is in upstate New York, and it's just really dead out here. There are barely any shows or even venues to play shows at. Florida still has a lot of cool stuff going on. I particularly like the Lake Worth, swamp rock, weird psychobilly type stuff, folk music that's going on down there. They have like their own cool fusion. I particularly like this band Everymen back home. But here it's just like, it's dead. I was still going to shows up until I moved here, and now I really haven't been to anything in the last couple of years because there's nothing going on out here.
Oh wow, that's so hard for me to comprehend, because I hear New York and I'm like, wow, that's like the culture capital of the East Coast, and like I just imagine that you guys must be swamped in things to do, but I guess there's different areas, and like where I'm at right now, I live in Branson, Missouri, and there's like maybe 30 or 40 different theaters that do live music every night. It's like a tourist town, and there's a lot of like country music. And when I was here in the 90s, there was a lot of washed up celebrities, and now it's a lot of cover bands, and like I was asking my grandma when she was here visiting if she wanted to go see Janis Joplin's cousin does a show here in my hometown.
I've seen a lot of my friends who were in original bands move into doing cover band shows just to like find a way to keep making money as a musician, as the scenes like got a little slimmer and they got a little older. Like a lot of my friends play in cover bands now.
Yeah, I know that's where the money is, because you can do weddings and people just like to hear familiar music and stuff, and do like, you can get a lot more well-paying gigs. And then a lot of people, as they get older, get responsibilities like kids and everything, and then they can't tour like they used to. That's good. And money is so important. Like I find in the punk scene sometimes there's an attitude that like it shouldn't be about money and you shouldn't be making money and all this. But I think it's really important for a community and a punk and a scene to have like their own economy and to be generating money. And this is something I feel about every aspect of my life, basically, is that if you're into something, you have to support it with your finances and your resources and your time and your energy, and you got to give back. A big gripe of my career is zines. Have you ever been into zines, Kimber?
Not so much, not a lot, and not recently at all. What's your gripe with them?
Oh, when I first started doing zines, the magazine was called like the industry magazine was called Fact Sheet 5, and it was just a big catalog that came out where you could order all of your zines through the mail back when it was like the paper net, and it was really cool. And then they went out of business and a new magazine took over called Zine World. And their mission statement, their definition of a zine is that it was something that was created not for profit. And that just really, really upset me and really got me away from the zine community, because I mean, I'm sure you've picked one up before, and they're a lot of work to like do all the layout and make the photocopies. And when I was doing them, I was doing like 300 to 500 issues, copies per issue. And so it took a lot of work. It was expensive. It's an expensive hobby. And when I first started, I could make money selling the zine. And then attitudes changed in the community that you can only do it for nonprofit. That's what a zine was something not for profit. Do you with your creative output and your art, do you have a trouble putting a price on it, or do you do art mostly not for money, or are you at a place where you'd like to be making money with your art?
Well, I've been a professional tattoo artist for over a decade, and I will only accept what I feel like is the acceptable price for a tattoo, because it's a lot of work and the shop gets half the cut. So like if someone isn't willing to pay me what I want for a tattoo, I don't tattoo them. I do crochet and I make like all kinds of stuff with that, and that shit takes so long and it's so much work, and I definitely don't charge what it's worth, but I sell those at discounted prices just to move them and to give myself like projects to do. I definitely give people deals, because I'd rather like be selling something and like at least working on something. So I definitely will like cut a deal with somebody just to have a project just to enjoy,
I love tattoos, and I have no money coming in, but I'd love to. I'd love to go get a tattoo right now. How did you learn tattooing?
I had a formal apprenticeship. I was mentored by another artist who was an excellent tattooer. He did a lot of the stuff that you can see. So I just spent years, like a couple years, like training with him on paper and learning how to shade and learning techniques through watching him tattoo. And then eventually I moved on to skin and practice, man, like lots of practice.
Wow. That's awesome. Yeah, I love tattoos. I don't have one picked out yet, but I'm definitely thinking about getting another one. When you were booking shows, did you have problems with fights breaking out, or?
They were pretty low tolerance about that type of thing. The reason I ended up not working at that place anymore is because they wanted to prohibit dancing, and I couldn't tolerate that. Like, I spoke up against it. Like, you're going to tell them they can't dance at a club. So they ended up firing me for that reason, but I felt like standing up for what I thought was the right thing was the correct move. So, fuck them.
Thanks so much, guys. I'll talk to you later.
Here at Mormo International, we love our fans. They are the most intelligent, passionate, and fiercely independent individuals on this planet. That's why we strive to bring them the very best of underground entertainment in movies, music, magic, and zines. We realize that concepts like making a profit and breaking even are old-fashioned. That's why you will receive our products for little to no charge. So join Mormo on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, and always remember,
ours the magic, ours the power.